Boom! What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the ER early regular crew. Um, Spook Realm 4Q, you are first in the building as usual. It's kind of humid in here today. It's kind of warm here in New York City. Um, but it's all good. I don't have the air on, but it's a little warm right now. I can feel it on my face. But we're gonna push through, and we're gonna start it like this as usual. PSA: if you're not a sucker, you know the rules. Get the book. My brother's name is Kenny. The True Origin Story of BDP. If those that's new to the channel. There's a lot of insight in there, a lot of behind the scenes stories. It's the whole story, the real story. And the link is in the description below. And the audio book is also available. Thank you to everyone who has picked up the audio book. Uh, Two, please hit the thumbs up, the like button if you get a chance. I hope Tracy, I think it's Tracy who always reminds everybody to hit the thumbs up. I hope Tracy does that again today. I think it's Tracy. Um, please hit the thumbs up so we can get more like-minded people in the chat. And last but not least, and this is the most important out of all of it, big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. I got a few things to talk about today that was on my mind, but first I'm going to get through some. Wait a minute, let me make this a little bit bigger so I can see. Bebo Jones, and what up? Gregory Nettis, what up? I'm going to get into this in a minute, Gregory Nettis. Yo, Kenny, what do you think about Josh Hart saying Stephen A. Smith is a fake New York Knicks fan, and Stephen A. Smith clapped back at him, telling him he wasn't even born when he was a Knicks fan? I'm going to get into that in a second. I have a few things to say on that. People always says, I can't stand Stephen A. Smith and his uninformed opinions. I'm not sure why he's such a darling to ESPN and why when he's really bad at his job. We're gonna touch on that in a second. Oh, this is interesting. B-Boy said, I managed to cop the new MPC sample on a restock from Guitar Center. Supposed to arrive tomorrow. My first MPC, so excited. I want to get that machine really bad as well. Really need to get that machine. That looks, I always been saying, I've been looking to pick up something. That looks like the one that I want. Let me know how it goes, B-Boy Jonesin. J-Woo 72. Jermaine Brown, New Haven, Connecticut. That's J-Woo 72. I don't know why I keep seeing that as different. Rosmel, what up? Christopher Caldwell, what up? A Steel, what up? DJ Green Hornet, what's good? BR Valentine, oh shoot, you're in the building. Not on the rewind. See people talking. My Cousin Vinny, to me, is one of the funniest movies of all time. David Austin says, Kenny, on a Slick Rick, it was a moment I feared. He says he got robbed at Latin Quarters at a doctor's show. Is that true? It was a BDP show. Boogie Down was performing here. It ain't no joke. BDP was performing at the Latin Quarters. I was there. And I don't know if he got robbed. It's probably just setting the scene. He's telling a story because I know Slick Rick was really about that life. You guys know that he actually got in some beef in the late 80s, early 90s, and went to prison over it because people tried to rob him. Like, he wasn't having it. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't think that's true. But it could have been true of any night at the Latin Quarters for anybody. That's all Brooklyn was in there just trying to rob any and everybody. It was crazy. It was exciting and crazy at the same time. MMA Crossfire, what up? Hey, Tracy. ER represent. Ilroy the MC. Um, B-Boy Jones says, KP, I finally finished the book and looking forward to the Wednesday chat whenever that's going down. Well, let's set it right now. Not next Wednesday, the 15th. I believe April 15th is a Wednesday. We will do a special book chat. Let's do 8 p.m. Wednesday, April 15th. I will mention it a few times during the next week and a half. April 15th is a Wednesday. We will do it. So we're going to have a Tuesday, regular Tuesday, and we're going to do a Wednesday just for people who read the book. Spoiler alerts. If you want to come in and just hang out and hear what the book is all about, if you didn't get it, you're welcome, but we're going to break it all down. I'm going to go into the making of the book and everything. We're going to break down everything. Anything you want to know about this book, we're going to do it on Wednesday, April 15th. Thank you, B-Boy, once again for reminding me that's the date we're setting. God willing, we will all be here. Silk Child, what up? Rod Justice, what up? Ram 38V. Which episode of the Kenny Parker Show does he talk about serial killers the most? He's trying to stay away from it because of YouTube, but does anyone know which one he talked about it the most? I would say that was about 2.5 weeks ago. I don't know which episode it was because it got real dark on here. That had to be about 3 weeks ago. Not sure, but it got real dark in here. But I study this kind of stuff. I find it very, very interesting. We could do a whole episode. We could do a whole night just talking about that kind of stuff because I have a lot of opinions about that. But I think it was about 3 weeks ago. Let's see. Philly Sheed, what up? Rodden Dirty Face, what up? Patrick Wide, the usuals in the usual suspects are here. Brian Mitchell, what up? E Styles, what up? Jason Wall, what up, massholes? Sweet Goldilocks, what's up? MK Ultra, Ajax Vancinity, everybody's here. JT says, KP, what's on the shirt? The shirt is the logo. There. Shout out to my man Stu's Design who hooked that up. And he hooked me up with this shirt. Thank you, Stu. Danielle LaDon Freeman, what up? PBB NYC. KP, would you take a trip to outer space if you could? Nah. I don't even like roller coasters. I remember as a kid, we took a class trip to the Statue of Liberty. And I remember you get to go up to the head. You get to go to the head of the Statue of Liberty, the crown. I remember that there was a time when you can go all the way up the arm of the Statue of Liberty, but I believe a plane crashed into that arm, like in the 40s or something. And so they stopped people from going up to the arm, if that's the story I remember. But you can go to the head of the Statue of Liberty, and it's like the crown has windows where you can look out. So you got to walk all the way up. It got to be 30, 40 stories up. I remember going as a kid and feeling claustrophobic, and you go up them little stairs and you get to the top and you could only stand there for like 10 seconds and look, and then you got to go all the way back down because other people are behind you. And I remember being in that little cramped area looking out the Statue of Liberty. I had to be in like 3rd grade. And I didn't like it at all. And I felt claustrophobic in there. So I could only imagine what it would be like in a spacecraft with zero gravity. I'm good. Icon Poet, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Sup, KP? My take on ghostwriting. If you're working on a project, that's one thing. Having someone write your words is another. We can talk, we've done many conversations on ghostwriting. We can get into that in a minute. I kind of agree with that sentiment, but there's a little bit more to it because if you're working on a project, it's about credit. Because if you say someone wrote your song and you give them credit and publish, their name is in the writer's credit. That is different than a ghostwriter is someone who's not named. And in music, when you're not named, you get no royalty rights, publishing or any other, or just recognition. My problem is when MCs present themselves as dope MCs when they're really saying someone else's words and it's not in the credits, it's presented as them. And I'm talking about ghost producing too, which is even worse than ghost writing. But some people have had ghost writers, like say Dre, when Jay-Z wrote Still Dre. And Jay-Z, when he ghostwrites, he puts his name. You see S. Carter in the credits. He wants all his money. Shout out to Jay-Z. I don't consider that ghostwriting because it says right there, if anybody wants to look, there's writers. Now, when you take the credit for the rhymes and don't pay people, that's my problem. And then people call these people the greatest of all time. How are you the greatest of all time when someone else wrote your rhymes? That rhymes. I should be an MC. Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. We can get deeper into that. We got a few super chats. I'm gonna get into them, and then I got a little thing I want to say. Vincent Ross, dope beat you made for Taking Mine. Salute. Thank you so much. Taking Mine is the title track to Heather B's 1995 album, which is considered her first album. But for us, that would be her third album that we did together. The first two never came out. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I worked really hard on that album. I know Heather would appreciate it too. Ilroy, the MC, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. What is your brother's favorite Kenny Parker beat? That's a great question. I would have to say the only beat that I've ever done that he really performs live is hip hop versus rap. And that was, I told y'all that if you, matter of fact, for those that didn't see how that song came about, check out my breakdown on this channel. It's called Sound of the Police 12 inch. The Sound of the Police 12 inch, hip hop versus rap is on the back. And you will see how, and I break down in that, I tell in that breakdown how that whole song came about. That is Kenny Parker music, hip hop versus rap. And that's probably the only song. I mean, when We In There came out, when it first came out, um, we used to perform it a lot when Sex and Violence was out. But then as the years going on, he doesn't do that song anymore. So I would say that's the only song that I'm credited with that he does. So I'm gonna say hip hop versus rap. Although, like I always say, I co-produced Black Cop, but I'm uncredited on that one. But he loved it and he gave it to Mad Lion. Lion rocked on it, shoot to kill every day, and he rocked on it. So I would say he liked that track a lot because he used it. But he co-produced that too. We worked on that song together, so that's like a collaboration. Uh, so I'm gonna say hip hop versus rap, and even that's a collaboration. But yeah, all right. Let me get. I want to say something real quick. I want to go back to. Um, I'm gonna go back to the Stephen A. Smith comment. I was checking that out. Um, as you guys know on this channel, Luka Doncic is my favorite player in the league right now, and I'm always arguing for him. He has faults, as does every basketball player. But you cannot argue that he had a historic, once in a lifetime season. And it just came out about an hour ago that he has grade 2 hamstring pull. So he's going to be out 3 to 6 weeks, which not only really hurts because now He's going to miss the last 5 games of the season, which means he is not eligible for any of the postseason awards. He's going to miss by one. You need to play 65 out of the 82 NBA games to be eligible for an award. And they had to put that rule in place because of all of the people sitting out, tanking, load managing, and just really cheating the fans out of their money. So they had to put in a rule that if you don't play 65 games, you will not be eligible for any awards. So Luka played 64 games out of the 65 with 5 games left, and he blew his hamstring last night in the third quarter of a blowout. Um, and this morning, Stephen A comes on ESPN and accuses Luka Doncic of faking the injury just to get out of the game because it was a blowout. And he went in this whole rant about basically insulting the guy's integrity and saying why she be okay for the next game. Like he really faked the injury to get out of the game. Now it turns out that it was a grade 2 sprain, which is the most serious, and his season's might probably over because if the Lakers don't win the first round, which is going to be very difficult, the season's over for him. Terrible, terrible news as a Laker fan, and for a person like me who likes Luca, as most of the people, he's the number one vote getter in the league, so millions of people like him too. Anyway, Stephen A. I really have a problem with guys like that. Loudmouth, clickbait, know-it-all individuals who never really excelled at the sport that they're talking about. We live in a algorithm, algorithm, algorithm based society. Everything that you see and hear now is based on what will get the most viewers in that direction because the number one most valuable commodity right now is human interest, human attention, and everything. That's why Meta and Facebook and Twitter, that's why these things are worth billions of dollars because it's only capturing human attention in one spot so that you can feed them what you want to feed them. TikTok, all of it. Human attention is now among the most valuable things on earth. And so this algorithm is set up to figure out what gets the most attention. And I always talk on this channel about how we like I like-minded individuals in this channel. This channel will never be as big as some of the other channels are, which are some of them are 10 times bigger than this channel, because I choose not to spit hatred and disrespect towards other people, even people that I don't know. There's even people that I do know, that I refuse to spit hatred towards them. And the algorithm is generated by hatred and disrespect and clickbait. And so that's my preference. I choose not to go in that direction. And even though there's some people that come on this channel trying to troll and trying to create a negative environment, and sometimes I put their comments up just because I like to try to be balanced and not biased and get different points of view. Even if I don't agree, I might put the point of view up just for some balance. But that style of journalism, the shock jock style, I have never been a fan of in my life. And it goes all the way back. I was trying to think today, how did we get here with a guy like Stephen A. Smith, who just has a history of nasty comments and know-it-all statements? And Josh Hart rightfully called him out for being a part-time Knicks fan and disrespectful. And his answer to Josh Hart is, I've been a Knicks fan before you was born, and I know your boss. I know people in your organization that cuts your check. What difference does that make? Because you know the man that makes you better than somebody else. But I was thinking to myself, how did we get here? I was just thinking this just before we got on the air just now. And it goes, to me, it goes all the way back to Star and Buck Wild. If you're not from New York, Star and Buck Wild was a radio show that was very, very popular on Hot 97. Star was basically the black equivalent of Howard Stern. And Howard Stern is the father of the shock jock. I mean, Imus was up there. Don Imus, that racist piece of shit, was up there too. But Howard Stern really pioneered that style. And Star spun off of that and came on Hot 97 with some of the most vile commentary about other artists that we had ever heard. And he exploded with that. And I respect that's his style. You know, he might watch this and try to diss me. That's fine. That's his style. That's not my style, but that's his style. But when he became very popular at that, this had to be 95, 96. I noticed a trend of people coming on the air and becoming very popular with nastiness. And I look across the board, the Stephen A. Smith, that's how he became very popular because he dissed people. And people like to see that. For some reason, we like to see the negativity. I look at him, I look at Shaq and Barkley. These are people who are paid to give commentary to the people, and yet they have their own personal gripes that they bring to the air. Barkley, Shaq, Skip Bayless, just to name a few, just real nasty people that say horrible things. And then I look at like Charlemagne the God, people like that, that just, that's their job to just say outlandish things, hurtful things about people. And it's successful. I understand why they do it, but I have a real problem with it. And then when certain people get an attitude and don't like what you said, and then they run up on these people trying to put hands on them, then it becomes, it's just, why are you getting mad? This is what celebrities go through. It's just talk. We just talking. Or when comedians say some horrible things about people's families and this and that, and then when the people run up on them, it's just comedy. I don't agree. I come from the world of, if you got something to say, say it to the person's face. And if you do say it and the person hear about it, when they step up, you got to be ready. That's the era I come from, and that's the world I come from. So I'm very careful what I say out in the public, because I know if I see one of these people, you're gonna have to be prepared to deal with whatever they want to come with. But I can go more into this, but I say all this to say I am absolutely not a Stephen A. Smith fan. I've never been. And just to hear just him just this morning saying horrible things about a man who gave his all to a team to try to win is just despicable. And it's even in news. You got Fox News over here with one side of this aisle and their nasty opinions. Then you got MSNBC on this side and their nasty opinions, this back and forth. I miss the days of Ted Koppel, Brian Williams. Remember that? Walter Cronkite. Boring guys. They just tell you the news. What happened today? Well, this. You would have no idea if they're Republican, Democrat, whether they like a person, don't like a person, what's going on in their personal life, nothing. Just give me the news, the facts, and let me decide what it's going to be. Don't try to lead me in a direction with your own personal bias. Not a fan. And I will try my hardest on this show to be as unbiased as possible, even talking about BDP, even talking about myself, even talking about my brother. I try to give you guys just my opinion and my insight, and I try to keep it as balanced as possible because I don't like all the negativity. And like I said, this show will never probably be as big as it needs to be because of that. And I'm fine with that. Um, and so it's funny that you brought that up. I think it was B-Ball Jones, and then somebody else brought it up because I was just thinking about that earlier. So that's my overall opinion of not just Stephen A, but the whole long history. It's like you can go back to '95, but I'm just naming a few. You guys probably know a few more people that just every day you click on them and it's just something negative to say about a sports person. If I was one of these people, I wouldn't talk to any of them. I remember when Michael Jordan, this is the last thing I'm gonna say on this. When Michael Jordan had came out with the Air Jordans, the NBA decided that it was not a proper sneaker sanctioned by the NBA. So they would fine him every time he wore the Air Jordans. So he decided that's okay, I'm gonna wear the Jordans anyway and just accept the fine. After a while, Nike decided we'll pay the fine. That was Nike didn't care. We'll pay the fine every game so you could keep wearing them Air Jordans. That was a great investment. If you don't speak to the media as a player, you get fined. If I was one of these guys, I would take a percentage of my pay each year and just put it aside for fines because there's certain people I just wouldn't talk to under any circumstances. I would be considered difficult, but so what? Anyway, that's just my opinion on that. And I was thinking about that a lot today. Also, I want to say rest in peace to a guy who passed away. I just saw this on my timeline. Danny Dan, the Beat Man. Those that don't know him, he was one of the legendary crate diggers um, in New York back in the 90s, 2000. And he put out quite a few breakbeat albums, kind of like Ultimate Breaks and Beats. Shout out to Breakbeat Lou. He had put out his own breakbeat albums. And I met him in 1989 with Biz. Me and Biz went to Danny Dan, the Beat Man's house, and he was playing beats for Biz. One of them, I believe, was the song called A Thing Named Kim, which I got a shout out on Biz's album. Danny Dan gave Biz that beat. And he gave few people beats. And I used to see Danny Dan out and about, and he was always super cool. So I want to say rest in peace to Danny Dan, the Beat Man, um, a true artist in the art of digging for records. And I have ultimate respect for people who dug for breaks and samples. So shout out to him and his condolences to his family. All right, I got a super chat here. I just want to jump into this real quick. Daryl Thomas, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. All right, I'm super far behind. Let me see some comments real quick. And I'm gonna jump down because I want to see what you guys got to say. Yeah, April 15th, 8 p.m. Let's do it. Uh, Ajax says, "Damn, I work Wednesday nights. Damn, sorry to hear that. I'm just trying to find a good time uh, to do it." Rod Justice says, "Wednesday is the only day of the week that I'm not available." Damn, should we move it to Thursday? We'll see. I'm gonna look in the comments and see if Wednesday is not good for enough people. Maybe I'll move it to Thursday. But I'm looking at Wednesday. Sweet Goldilocks book chat. I'm so excited. I gave my questions written down. Let's go. Let's go, Sweet Goldilocks. I'll answer all your questions. Um, let's see. Uh, let's see. Rod Justice says the serial show was probably on a Friday because I know I was not here for that. Probably was a Friday. We were just talking. Uh, People says, KP, if you sell that shirt, I'm sure many of us would cop that. Really, let me work on that. Um, let's see. I'm going to jump down a little bit because I just want to. Um, hey, Tracy. Um, Andre says, peace in my Just Ice voice. Let me jump on some of these super chats, and I'm gonna see your comments. Oreo 87, thank you 873 from TikTok. Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. KP, I would have loved to see you wearing the BDP hat. Yeah, that was a nice rant. I should have had, matter of fact, let me pull out the rant medallion um, after the fact. But I didn't know that rant just came out of nowhere. Um, I see you wearing the BDP hat when you said that racist piece of shit. I agree 100% with all you said. Thank you so much. It's just my opinion. There's some people that's gonna disagree, but it's just my opinion. Everyone has a right to their opinion. Everyone has a right to present their show the way they want to present it. D Mag Waza, what's up, Kenny? What up? Your book is brilliant. Thank you so much. Much appreciated for the book and the contribution. Picking up the book. You're a talented brother. What are yours and KRS' favorite Bob Marley tunes? I don't know what Chris's favorites are. He loves Bob Marley, but I like for well, there's the usual suspects, you know, Three Little Birds and One Love and Rastaman Vibration and my favorite off the off the path Roots rock reggae is one of my favorite Bob Marley tunes. This is reggae music. That's my jam. Of course, jamming was big on the radio when I was a kid. We used to have that 45 when I was a kid. Um, Redemption Song. There's a bunch of his whole cat. There's a bunch of his songs that's the same level for me. I love roots rock reggae, man. I don't know why. When I was a kid, that song really stuck with me. Uh, No Woman, No Cry. He has so many. He's probably my second favorite artist of all time behind Prince. I would have loved to meet him and talk to him. But thank you so much for picking up the book. We're doing the book chat. I wanted to be Wednesday, April 15th, but if too many people can't do Wednesday, I could move it to Thursday. It could be Wednesday or Thursday, but I'm trying to solidify a day. Should we do Thursday instead of Wednesday, April 16th? Y'all let me know. I just want to do one where the most amount of people could get in and most amount of people could get in so we could talk. Don't make Kenny break out the BDP. Yeah. Uh, Divine Zixon says, Peace KP. I remember walking up all those stairs to that green ass Statue of Liberty as a kid in the 70s. Apparently there was an explosion in the arm caused by the German Empire back in 1916. Oh, that's what the reason was? I thought a plane hit the arm. I don't know what it was, but yeah, there's a reason why you can't go up in the arm. You used to be able to, um, but now you can't. Uh, let's see. Yeah. Patrick Sargent says, on buffoonery algorithm back alley talking situation shots fire. Yeah, I mean, the algorithm encourages negativity. The more negative you are, if you guys look on even on this channel, my beef videos, like I always say, do 10 times, maybe more, the amount of views that my other videos do. Whenever I talk about beefs that we had, do 10 times that. But I don't want this to be an all beef channel. Like I said, I got beefs on there. I got epic fails, all of it. I always say too, there's things I can't talk about on this channel, but I got some beefs that would be break the internet if I told y'all the stories. Uh Sydney Rhodes says integrity on deck. Trying to be, man. First Take was one of the catalysts. Yeah, but it started before First Take, but yeah, these type of shows, when you see the viewership, they encourage it. And I understand it's business, but it's bad, man. Patrick Sargent says Stephen Wendy. Wendy was a pioneer in this type of journalism, but Wendy was more telling you celebrity gossip. Like Wendy would be more on the gossip tip. This person did this. Guess what, y'all? I heard she had like a lot of feelers out there, and they would bring back information and she would report. She was like, this is before social media, so we didn't know what a lot of celebrities were doing out in these streets. But Wendy would find out and tell you and come and tell everybody. Um, she spewed a lot of hatred in her day, and she became incredibly popular. Uh, and she has hardly any friends in the industry now. She made a lot of enemies. There's a lot of people who are not sorry to see her be in this position that she's in now. I, for one, personally have always been cool with Wendy, so I don't have any problem with Wendy. She's a good friend of BDP, but I- Star was a little bit different than he was more venomous to me than even Wendy. Wendy didn't seem like it was personal. Wendy just seemed like I'm just giving information. I'm dissing anybody who is behaving a certain way out in the streets. Star seemed like he had a personal vendettas against people, and he would go on for days and days and days. Um, like campaigns against people. Star made a lot of enemies. Yes, he did. And he eventually he would eventually get kicked off the radio. He took it too far. Star would talk shit about Chris too, Funky Bass. Yeah, he talk about everybody. I mean, um, so laugh at like Kenny, you called Star a piece of shit. I agree. No, I did not call him a piece of shit. I did not say Star was a piece of shit. I said Don Imus was a piece of shit. He's a racist. That's a whole different category to me. Star is not a piece of shit. He just has his style, and his style um, is not the style that I aspire to be or really respect for that. And I don't respect dis- disrespect. I don't respect disrespect for no reason. But like I said, he's very successful with what he does. He's probably going to diss me if he hears this, which is fine. Um, um, Me and Star have actually had words back in the day, to be transparent. Uh, but it is what it is. I'm not a fan. I respect how he gets his money, but it's not for me. Much respect to you, Kenny. Stephen Smith's contributions to the human endeavor is questionable at best. Yeah, it is. But I don't like know-it-alls. And you know what? I tell you when I was really kind of done with Stephen A. This is back like 25, 26 years ago. I remember he was on Hot 97, and I remember the Nets. I was a big Nets fan when Jason Kidd was on there and Vince Carter. And I remember it was coming down to like the last couple weeks of the season. And the Nets were in like 10th place trying to get that 8 seed. And I remember somebody called in and was like, Stephen Smith, do you think the New Jersey Nets have a chance at the playoffs? Absolutely not. They have no chance. They would have to jump over two teams. I'm telling you right now, they have zero chance to make the playoffs. And they were just so dismissive because they had a chance. They had a chance. It was a slim chance, but they had a chance. For you to just say, I know factually, how do you know that? And the Nets ended up going on a super winning streak and made the eighth seed. They jumped from the 10th seed to the eighth seed that year and made the playoffs. I believe they lost to the Miami Heat. I think Dwayne Wade just went crazy. But I think the Nets jumped from the 10th seed all the way to the eighth seed on like the last day of the season. And I remember I was so happy. I was like, this guy, Stephen A., he guaranteed that he knows for a fact, and he was 100% wrong. This was like 25 years ago. And I was like, man, these people don't know anything more than you and I know. Their guess is as good as ours. Sure, they have inside information, and you could call LeBron on the phone, and you go to the cookout with Steph Curry and all that. But at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen till it happens. And these people make millions of dollars to do this. Um, the NBA race is biased against Jalen Brown, even if he was the top scorer. They're hating on him. I don't think they're biased. There's a lot of people who um, give Jalen Brown a nod. It's just that, and this is the argument with any other people that can win. I don't think Wemby, and I talk all the time that I think I saved Wemby's career because I said in the beginning before the season started that Wemby takes too many jump shots, and if he takes it to the hole, he'll be the man. And he took it to the hole, and now he's a leading candidate for MVP. But I do not think he is the MVP. There are three other guys in this league who have really put up numbers on winning teams that's spectacular, like historic. The Joker is about to average a triple double again. He's going to be the first center or player ever to lead the league in rebounding and assists ever. That is ridiculous numbers. And he averages 27 a game. And his team is probably going to finish fourth or third. I respect Jalen Brown. He did a really good job, but that's a good team over there in Boston. He did a fantastic job holding the fort down, but I can't have him over Joker. I can't have him over Luca, and I don't have him over SGA. I think SGA, he made a statement last night against the Lakers that, yo, I'm here. He is the MVP. I think it's going to be him, and rightfully so. But if they pick Wemby, my problem with Wemby is, first of all, Wemby averaged the same amount of points and rebounds and blocks as he did last year. He didn't raise his level. His team just played better. But to me, if you really look at Wemby, as they call him an alien and all of this, and he is a freak of nature. But if you really look at his stats, like just look at stats, don't look at his height and how it looks. Just look at what he does on the court. He hasn't done nothing we haven't really seen before. He averages 24, 11, and like 3 blocks a game. That's Patrick Ewing numbers. And he's doing it in a time where there's not a lot of big men to compete against. What the thing with Wemby is that it looks crazy what he's doing. Some of the block shots that he gets and some of the dunks that he does looks ridiculous. Like this guy is a Martian, the way he moves on the court. But if you really just look at the numbers, he's not putting up historic numbers. As a matter of fact, he's putting up good big man numbers. He has numbers like Pat, David Robinson. He's not even putting up Dream Olajuwon numbers or Shaq or Kareem. Like he's not putting up numbers like a big man we've never seen before type numbers. The Joker is, and if you look at guards, SGA and Luca, they're putting up numbers that we've never seen before. Shit like Kobe Bryant type numbers and Jordan. That's a different conversation. So I'm hating on. I'm not hating. I am disagreeing with Wemby. But Jalen Brown has an argument. I just don't know if he's up there with those guys. Um, PBB says, KP, you keep it classy. That's why I subscribe. Thank you so much. I try. I mean, we have our moments on here. Um, we have our moments. It's not going to always, we have opinions. Everyone has a right to their opinion. It's just that if I give you an opinion, I'm going to tell you why. I think this, and this is why, based on what I've seen or some numbers or what we point to as some kind of measurement. Like I said, music is so subjective that there's no such thing as dope and whack, but you try to measure things against other things to try to get some kind of feel when you make an opinion. But just to say so and so quit on his team, or this person is trash, this person, for what? Why would you say that? What bears that out? Just because you don't like them? I am not a fan. And if I get dissed for saying that, so be it. He says Stephanie A. Smith is a real sellout, hates his own kind. I don't know if that's true. He has made some statements that would lead you to believe that he frowns on certain percentages of his population. Um, but that's his right. His political right is his political right. If I don't agree with his political right, that's my right. But when it comes to, we are going to these people to get analysis as professionals to give us the breakdown of what's going on, not hatred. Shaq hates every big man. Every big man is not playing the way he used to play. Like, yo, man, it's crazy. Bebo Jones, Kami, what do you think about the Gucci Mane situation? I was just looking, I was just looking. I shout out to my man Torre, the writer. He does some really good breakdowns on this channel. I just saw him like a few days ago. I know Torre coming up on 30 years. Um, he did a really good breakdown on this Gucci Mane situation. I was watching it earlier today. That guy Pooh Shiesty and his father thought it was a good idea to travel from one state to the next to kidnap a brother, force him at gunpoint to sign a contract. He's trying to get out of his contract. So he tried to do a old Suge Knight move and force a guy to sign a release at gunpoint. And then you held him against his will, which is kidnapping. And then you robbed him and the two people that was with him at gunpoint. You know how many felonies this guy has committed, him and his whole crew? And he's already out on supervised supervision. I said supervised supervision. Yes, that. With the police anyway, they have him on tape. They have all of his phone records. They have the car toll records. They have all of them in one place. They have the tickets they bought. They have him at Staples photocopying the contract. The evidence is overwhelming. This dude's gonna get life. You're about to get life in prison as a repeat offender to get out of a contract. So now you're about to make a contract, a lifetime contract with the penal system. You and your father was with you. I'm not, I don't pretend to be a criminal or anything like that, although I grew up in the same streets as everybody else. For those that got the book, you know what I'm talking about. The link is in the description below. I paid my street dues. I paid the hard way. Um, but I say all that to say I'm not a person out here who be trying to do a lot of that stuff. So I don't know that world like that. But just on a business sense, that doesn't make any sense to do that. Um, Not a good look. I think he's finished. Um, Jerome Shabazz says, rarely hear Kenny curse. Props to calling Imus as piece of shit. Yes, he is. I will say that. And people say, I don't know where this came from. You're not supposed to disrespect the dead. Well, if the dead was doing things while they were alive, I think you can speak on it. That guy he was a racist. I have no respect for racists. None. Yo, Kenny, how do you feel about the latest Jay-Z interview? I only saw parts of it. I only saw clips. I didn't watch the whole thing. And like I said, we talked about this before. I kind of agree with some of his statements on the battling and the beefs. I talked about that all the time on this channel. I'm not a fan of the behind the scenes stuff that happens in these beefs. And as a person who has lived through a few of them, it's not pretty. But that's the only parts I really saw. So I don't want to comment on it. I didn't see everything, but It's always good to hear Jay-Z speak, though, and just get his point of view as a person who's been hugely successful for 30 years. And he's really at the top of the game business wise and creatively. So it's always good to hear his opinion, but I didn't see all of it. Um, Patrick Watts says, I only watch classy podcasts and shows like the Kenny Parker Show. Thank you. F the negativity. I mean, there's a time and place for negativity. If you're trying to show a balance, you show the positive, you show the negative, or if somebody does something to hurt somebody, that's a whole different category. You can comment on that. You're doing stuff to hurt people. That's different. But when you're just spewing hatred night after night after night after night to build an audience, I mean, I respect. Get your money, man, but it's just not for me. It's just not for me. Um, let's see. Rochester says, my mother, R.I.P., did not like Stephen A. Smith either. Rest in peace to your moms. And I mean, there's people that like Stephen A. I mean, he's the most highest paid person on television in sports, right? Sports journalism. So there's bunches of people that like him, but I think ESPN should be ashamed sometimes. Should be ashamed sometimes. MMA says, I've worked in some of the biggest newsrooms in Canada. I have to agree with you, Kenny. Thank you. I mean, I appreciate the people that agree with me. I'm sure there's people that don't agree with me, and I respect that. Um, I respect that. But this is just my opinion on the Kenny Parker Show. Yeah, Dan Rather. You know, I'm not saying these guys were perfect. I'm not saying these guys weren't even compromised. Who knows? All I know is that their straight laced telling of the news, I would look back and I would consider that refreshing right now. If I can get some news just straight down the middle. Who, what, when, where, how. That's it. Um, Connie Chung. I liked Connie Chung. Wasn't her husband the talk show host? She used to do a little bit of some of those exposés. I liked Connie Chung. Mike Wallace. Yeah, that was an era. What we talking? The 90s, right? Into the 2000s. Um, yeah, I mean, I hate sounding like the old dude. Um, Back in my day. You ever see how Mike Tyson would flip on some of these interviewers and they would be terrified when they would just go out their way to say something disrespectful to Mike and they would be able to think they could say it to his face and Mike would snap. Honestly, sadly, I'm with that. I'm with that. Yo, at the end of the day, I'm Mike Tyson though. Uh, Explicit says, I like Peaceful Kenny, but part of me agrees that he should put on that hat. Stop tempting us. Yeah, my rant hat, for those that's new to the channel, I got the BDP hat I put on when it's time for a rant. And I don't like to beat you guys in the head with my rants, but sometimes things just be on my mind. And like the Stephen A thing was just on my mind as we were coming on the live. Uh Cutie Pie, hey. So finally got your book. Excited to start reading it and for the book chat. Thank you so much for the contribution and picking up the book. Um, is it Wednesday or Thursday? I can make it Thursday. You guys let me know what's better. I just want as many people to be in the chat as possible so we can really have a nice discussion. It's the Boricua, as usual. You are the man. Thank you so much. Do that show on a weekend. I see a lot of guys work during the weeknights and do a Friday. By the way, Rhode Island people coined the term massholes because of the tailgate. Do it on the weekend? Like what, a Saturday or a Sunday would be better? How about a Sunday morning, maybe? Sunday brunch, like a brunch book talk? How about a Sunday brunch, like 11? That's a good point. A lot of people work, and some people work at nights. What about a Sunday brunch, y'all? What y'all think? Um, let's see. I'm super far behind, so I don't see the Doyle brothers today, but yeah, Rosmel, I wasn't even gonna put what he said, but he said, "What's not racist about calling WNBA players a bunch of nappy-headed hoes?" Actually, he wasn't even calling WNBA players that. He was calling college players that. He said other things in the past, but I don't even want to repeat the things he said, but because that's a whole other topic we could break down, actually, what he said. But he was talking about college young ladies. He had just watched the championship between Tennessee, led by Candace Parker, against Rutgers. And his assessment of watching the college NCAA championship game was a bunch of nappy-headed hoes, is what he saw. That's disgusting. He's disgusting. I mean, rest in peace to him, but he's disgusting. Clowns, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. That's nice. Thank you. KP, the book is a masterpiece. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. To talk about intimate parts of your and Chris's life is truly inspirational. So much respect for you both. Salute. BDP's music hits even harder now for me. Thank you so much. That was the goal of it. And when I do the live, I'm going to talk to you guys about the conversation that I had with Chris before I even wrote the book, and his things that he talked to me about. Um, let's move it to Sunday. What y'all think? I'm gonna scroll down a little bit because I want to see what you guys think. I'm gonna get everybody in the chat. Jermaine Braun, thank you, Jay Woo. Um, let's see. MMA says, make it a Friday. You must learn edition. That's dope. No, because we do our normal lives on Friday, and this the chat and the interaction and talk about other stuff. I don't want to interrupt the Fridays. I even think that when I do a live, when I do some interviews, I'm gonna move it to another day so we can keep the lives, this format, the same. And when we have special things like an interview or something else, we do another day. It could be a Friday, but I'm gonna try to move it to a day, just special, just for that. Um, mm, let's see. Yeah, JT says at Patrick, wow, I have a few of the Dusty Fingers. Yeah, that's the break beats that Dan the Man was putting out, Dusty Fingers. I have a few of them too. But was slowing down on the digging around that time. I'd need a whole house for storage if I kept all my early digging rate. Yeah, that's why I had to get rid of a lot of my records. It just became a point where I couldn't even move in my own crib. I had so many records. Um I bet if KRS was a guest, KP would be spilling all the tea. Yeah. Only reason I would spill the tea with Chris would be to battle him because he would be trying. Because if you guys have never seen me and him interact, but it's like it's always a debate with me and him. Like it always starts out as a conversation, and he'll say something that I don't agree, and then here we go. We'll just be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's hilarious. But I would have to find something to dig up to try to win. It's very hard to win a debate with Chris. He is a very good debater. And so you have to hit below the belt if you're gonna try to beat him. Um, Johnny Lee says, Kenny, your BDP versus PM Dawn is a great story. Thank you so much. I know everybody on this channel watched uh my PM Dawn versus KRS. That's probably my biggest video. For those that didn't, please check it out. Uh Marvin Green. Sorry if I messed up your name. Says I blame Wendy Williams. Wendy and Star came around the same, exploded around the same time. Wendy was probably a little before him. You know, she was a lot before him, but her stuff. Wendy didn't start out that way. It evolved. But Wendy was before Star. But I just don't see her as negative. Wendy would just report and give her commentary on shit that was going on in the streets. She was very hard on Puffy. She was one of the first people. She might have been the first person to ever really come on the air and be like, this guy Puffy, there's some things that he's doing out in these streets that are questionable. And she was very hard on Puff Daddy, very hard on him. Got her fired. That's one of the reasons she got fired from Hot 97 because he was very powerful. Um, but I always felt like she had a purpose. Some people just diss for no reason. It's just, and there's a way you can say things, and there's some things that you just don't have to say about people, man. There's some things that to me are off limits that people will say just because. Um, uh, Explicit says Wendy got cocky and overdoing it. She knew she had the law to protect her. Well, everyone has the law to protect them. People could say whatever they want. They got their First Amendment right. And then if you do try to retaliate, you'll be in trouble. I'm not saying people should go out and retaliate on people, but there are situations where I can see somebody checking somebody. I've been in them situations. BDP has been in situations where we had to address people. You should be able to say it in somebody's face, man. And there's certain tones. You see, it's the tone. It's the tone, too. Let's see. This is great, Kenneth Smith. Liberty on July 30th, 1916, German agents blew up a nearby nutrition's depot on Black Tom Island, causing massive damage, shrapnel damage to the statue's arm and torch, rendering the structure unsafe. Okay, so it wasn't a plane. I really thought a plane hit it, but it was that caused. But that's 1916. They closed it since then. Could you imagine a crowd of people being in that arm and it just falls? Could that would be? I couldn't even imagine it. Um, to me, if you talk ish, you need to fight your own battles and take a beating if need be. I'm not advocating violence. I'm just saying I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying either. I'm just saying that I would love to see somebody reel it back in now. We are way out into the deep end of negativity. And just sometimes it's hard to even then the comment section just be there's people want I could people making comments, regular folk making comments is one thing, but people that's paid money that represents a corporation to say some of the things they say is horrible, man. I just don't get. I would love to see somebody reel it back in. I would love to see a positive, respectable journalist come on the air. Even like a Bob Costas. Remember Bob Costas used to do those breakdowns? I liked Bob Costas. Somebody like that, just a straightforward guy. I would just like to see how it's accepted in this day and age. Maybe it'll fail. Maybe I'm wrong, but um, you were right. Star was like the Black Howard Stern shock jock. Yeah, and it works. It really works, man. It really works. I know there's things I could say on this channel right now that would really boost my whole channel. Um, I could really boost the channel, but it's just not me. And you got to be prepared to see these people. You got to be prepared to see them. They coming, man. People, Joseph Kennedy, I love the Sunday brunch idea. Me too. The more I hear about it, the more I'm starting to like that. All right, let's scratch Wednesday. Scratch Wednesday. Forget I said Wednesday. That's the 15th. Sunday would be, what would that be? The 19th? Let's do Sunday brunch. Sunday the 19th, 11 a.m. Let's see that. I'm gonna look at some more comments to see what you guys think, but let's see how that goes. Uh, Richard says, Howard got me through so many days commuting to work. I had a different I used to not like Howard Stern either. He said some things about Public Enemy that I didn't really like back in the day that I thought was borderline racist too. But when I watched his movie, I forgot what the name of it was, which I thought was an excellent movie with Pig Vomit. Remember Pig Vomit? Um, I got a better understanding of who he was. And I started to feel more that maybe he was not racist. He's just an asshole, but he's not a racist. And I got a little bit more of an understanding of Howard Stern. I started to enjoy him more after I saw the movie. But I could see where he was very he changed the game. We always talk about on this channel about people that changed the game. Howard Stern changed the game. Um, Richard says was listening to Kwame Brown podcast and he said Russell Westbrook is the best point guard ever. I don't know if I agree with that, but I respect his opinion. I don't even know if I consider Russell Westbrook a point guard. He's like a lead guard. What up with Jaden Ivey? We talked about this on Tuesday. I'm not gonna get too deep in it, but it's a tough situation right there. I hope it gets resolved amicably. Tough situation. I'm not gonna get too deep on that right now because we talked about it on Tuesday. But tough one. Let's see. Victor Wembanyama is Mr. Fantastic. That's exactly what he is. He's Mr. Fantastic. That's exactly who he is. Good one, Gregory Dennis. Um, let's see. I'm still far behind y'all. I didn't even do the scroll down yet. Jason Wall says Wemby could score 40 a game if he just posted up on a block every possession. Yeah, you gotta get him on the move a little bit, but yeah, if he decided at any point that Wemby shoots a jump shot, I consider that a win, even if he makes it. Wemby shooting jump shots makes him a good NBA player. Wemby has a good jump shot. He has a good three-point shot. Wemby shooting jump shots, he's no different than any number of forwards in the league. Wemby taking it to the hole is a whole different story, man. Luka Doncic is two faces. How so, Gregory Nettis? I agree with this. Wemby gets votes for his upside. He gets votes on the potential, but I'm not talking about potential. I'm talking about what he is today. Luka's game is too selfish to win it, but I love his game similar to Harden. I don't think he's too selfish to win. I respect your opinion. I can see where you'd say that, but I don't agree. And it's similar to Harden in the regular season. The difference between Luka and Harden is in the playoffs. I've seen James Harden shrink so many times in the playoffs. And it's almost puzzling how quiet he gets in the playoffs. Meanwhile, the top two scorers in the history of basketball, NBA started in 1946 to now. The top two scorers in the history of the playoffs average Michael Jordan at 1, Luka Doncic at 2. Meaning when the lights are bright, the real hot lights come on, Luke is still getting you 30, 8 and 8. Not in the regular season, but in the playoffs when it slows down and when it's hard to get a bucket, he's still giving you 30. I respect that. I think Harden is one of the greatest regular season guys I've ever seen. Guards. Only reason Wemby gets my nod is because without him, the Spurs wouldn't be much, KP. I don't know about that. Look at the numbers of all of the top contenders. Look at their records when their star player was hurt. Look at the record of the Joker, SGA, and Wemby. Look at the records. Those teams are still 600 win. Those teams are still 50-win teams projected wise without them. They still have very good records. Then look at the record of the Lakers without Luka Doncic. They're a 500 team. They would be in the play-in. And that's why Jaylen Brown, I'm going to shout out Gregory Nettis, that's why Jaylen Brown gets a lot of love. Not only has he had a great season, but what he did with that team that was supposed to be lower in the standings. That Celtics team was supposed to be way down in the standings. They're fighting for a 1 seed. They're supposed to be way down in the standings. And that's why he gets a lot of the credit. ESPN had the Lakers at 13 preseason. 13, which I think is ridiculous, but they had the Lakers at 13 preseason. They're a 3 seed. Wemby should average 6 blocks a game. See, this is what I'm talking about. That would be some other shit. But a lot of it is that people don't take it to the rim as much as they used to. And they definitely don't drive when he's there. But you have to look at the amount of times people go in there and just change their mind because of Wemby. That's a factor. But I still think he should be averaging 15, 16 rebounds a game and like 6. Like that would be some shit. He's 7'5". 3 block shots a game is. We've seen that already. Dikembe Mutombo. Remember the wave in the finger? We've seen that already. That is not maybe in this era, but to me that he's a great defensive player. Trust me, but it's not. It's the way it looks. The blocks that he gets, when you look at them, you're like, how did he get to that? That's crazy. But the numbers don't really bear that out. That's just my opinion. Bebo Jones, as bad as Stephen A is, Jason Whitlock is even worse. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Jason Whitlock is worse than Stephen A. He's always hating on black people. And I'm not saying that we as a black community have no faults or flaws. Everyone can be evaluated by anyone. Every race has flaws. Human beings are flawed. But when you see certain people of our community consistently punching down on us, it's like, what is your motivation? Who are you trying to impress? I agree with that. There's a bunch of them, man. Shaq is too judgmental towards Towns. Absolutely. He beats up on the guy every night. And I think Carl Anthony Towns, I think the Knicks are only going to go as far as he takes them. I remember, shout out to my favorite WNBA player of all time, Becky Hammon, coach of the Las Vegas Aces. She said, and she would know, she said, in order to win a championship, your best player cannot be your shortest player. And she got a lot of heat from that. But if you really look at history, it's true. If you look at the past 40 years, you would think Isaiah Thomas was the best player on the Pistons teams. Then after Isaiah Thomas, no short player won a championship for decades. AI got close. That AI team was really good, but they ran into Kobe and Shaq. And there was no beating them. But AI was that he was good, but he didn't win. Oh, it was all the way up until Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, before a short person, short, won a championship as the best player. And then since Steph, we haven't had one since. And her argument is that as great as Jalen Brunson has been, and some Knicks fans are trying to turn on him now, which is shocking to me. As great as he has been, if he's your best player, you're not going to win. And the Knicks were a bounce away from being in the championship last year. But I say that Cat has to be huge, especially the first three quarters. Keep it close, and Brunson will take you home. Brunson is an unbelievable clutch player. Keep it close until the last 6, 7 minutes, and Brunson will take you home. But Cat has to be big in there. And a lot of times I see Cat driving to the hole, flailing, trying to just flail in there and don't get the call, and it looks weaker than it probably is. And he shoots a lot of threes. I'm not a fan of big man shooting threes, even though he's a good 3-point shooter. I like him to get in there and bang. But I think Shaq's almost hatred towards this man is a bit much. But like I said, he hates every big man. He hated Dwight Howard, hated Dwight Howard. He hates on everybody. He likes the Joker. I think the Joker maybe won him over, but everybody else, they hate the Lakers, and DeAndre Ayton, he beats up on him. And DeAndre Ayton has his faults, but he beats up on DeAndre Ayton all the time. Just beating up on these guys. And it's just, after a while, it becomes hate. After a while, it reaches a point where it's hate. I'm so far behind you. Okay, we're about to do a Benny Doyle scroll down right now. Um, let me pop in right here. Miss Malik, Sunday brunch. Yes, it's looking like it's going to be Sunday brunch, y'all. Oreo says Sunday brunch is good. Def Rocker says he was talking about the Rutgers women's team. Yeah, but he said some other things too. I don't want to. Only reason I don't want to get into it, we can if y'all want to, but the only reason I don't want to get into it is because I don't want to keep perpetuating his ugliness. But he said a couple of other things too that was as offensive as nappy headed hoes. But yeah, he was talking about the Rutgers team, which are college women competing at the highest level. And that's all you saw? Um, just nasty. Shout out to the late, great Mark the 45 King. I will always post any comments about 45 King on this channel because he is truly a great producer and a great guy. It would be great with Sunday brunch. I live in Norway. All right, we're looking at Sunday. Sunday works for me. Sunday works. Sunday. Oh, Clown says Sunday evening, maybe morning. I'm in church. Come on, man! Like y'all killing me. Sunday evening. I don't know if Sunday evening works for me. Man, I appreciate you, clowns. I appreciate you reading the book and everything. It's just tough. You might be. Richard says on a Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon? Jehu says the greatest YouTube channel ever created. Real talk. Thank you so much. I'm still kind of far behind, but I'm right here. Wait a minute. We got a super chat. Let me jump in here. Um, People, did I see this one? Kenny, I love the Sunday brunch idea. Yeah. KP, Sunday 1 or after, I'm at church. Sunday 1 p.m. There are people at church on a Sunday afternoon. Sunday at 1. Sunday at 1. We're gonna, you know what? We're gonna have to lock this down. Sunday at 1. Um, let's see. We're leaning to Sunday at 1. Let's see. Let me scroll down a little more, a little more, a little more. I'm gonna jump in right. This is not too far back. It's like 10 minutes back. Yo, Kenny, when's the last time you pulled out vinyl and cut up some breaks? Last time I pulled out vinyl was at my we do the 45 parties. Shout out to Vinyl Nights. Shout out to DJ Misbehavior. Last time I pulled out the 45s and was playing some breaks is probably a few months back. We did a live party. Was it Bryant Park? I think it was the Bryant Park parties. This had to be like January. Um, let's see. Kenny, you ever watch those people who have reactional videos? No. They say they never watched Jordan or so, then they go nuts. Is it fake or real? Or do they just want fans and viewers by doing it? I don't know. I never watched them. I see these people that watch all kind of stuff for the first time, hearing things for the first time. And a lot of them are young. So, and my thing is, a lot of these things that you're hearing and seeing for the first time, you would have to have been there in that time to understand how incredible what you're seeing or hearing is. Hearing things like I hate when people say this didn't age well or that didn't age well. You had to be there at that time to really understand certain things that you've seen because so many people copied it and so many things evolve after that that when you're seeing it 30, 40 years later, it might just seem regular to you, but at that time it was incredible. So I try not to watch that stuff, so I don't really know. A Boogie says 7'5" doing the sham guard is insane. Yes, a 7'5" basketball player doing the sham guard in and out dribble is insane. But still, I'm okay with a 7'5" dude doing a sham guard 20 feet from the basket. Go ahead, sham guard yourself to death. I'm scared of if he gets 2 steps to the rim. That's the problem. If he do a sham guard crossover and pull up for a fadeaway, knock yourself out, Wemby. Marquise says, "Is your boy Luca out for the season, Cape?" I would say, yeah. I think you're not going to see him again this year because the Lake, in order for him to, because this is 3 to 6 weeks. Playoff starts in 2.5 weeks. 3 to 6 is more like 6, which means the Lakers would have to win the first round. You might see him in the second round. First round, the Lakers are probably either going to get Houston or Minnesota. Without Luca, so that means you would have to count on LeBron. 41-year-old LeBron would have to turn into 31-year-old LeBron. And then Austin Reeves would have to really be spectacular. I love Austin Reeves' game, but there are question marks about him concerning the playoffs and physicality. We're going to find out. If they get past, if LeBron and AR, but if LeBron could get this team further into the playoffs, he done a spectacular. At 41, that's a different conversation right there. A Boogie says every culture has flaws, but black flaws are used for entertainment by our own weird times. That is a great, great, great comment, A Boogie. That's a rabbit hole. That's a whole night's conversation right there. That right there, we'd have to that because you could just go super deep on that. Because our culture is used as entertainment for the world. We are the most entertaining for everyone to watch. And for a lot of people on this earth, that's the only reason why they acknowledge black people because we're entertainment to them. Okay, cool. But when our own people do this to us, coming from where we came from, that's a different conversation. That's a whole different conversation. But it's entertainment. There are people right now, you tell them, I'll give you $1 million to do it, make fun of your own people. They'll be up there just shucking and jiving all day long. Back in the day, Wemby would be restricted to the post. Yep. And would easily average 6 blocks and 16 rebounds, but he's all over the court. So only stats that would be elevated is his scoring. Yeah, but also back in the day, there were other big men. It'd be very physical for him. He'd be pushed all over the place. But let's say he was stronger and he could hold his own. 6 blocks and 16 rebounds, that's some alien shit. Not even the 16 boards, but the 6 blocks, that would be some alien shit. Like they call him an alien because of his potential and talent, but 6 blocks would be some real alien shit. He averages 11 boards a game. Luca averages 8 boards a game at the guard position. They don't even talk about that, but he's the highest scoring rebounding guard in the league, highest rebounding percentage in the league. So 11 boards to me in this day and age is cool because there's a lot of jumpers, but I don't know. I don't know. He's a great player with his ceiling is could be a top 3 or 4 of all time. And he's only 22. What is he, 22? Um, but I don't know if he's the MVP. I don't know if he's the MVP for me. Abel said Steph is tall in real life, yes, and his talent is one of a kind. Really one of a kind. He's the greatest shooter we have ever seen. And he's probably a top 3 ball handler, too, which is a ridiculous cheat code. How could the greatest shooter of all time also be a top 3? I think he's like a top 3 ball handler, too. Um, what is he, 6'3"? 6'3" is extremely tall in real life. in NBA terms, he is short. And in NBA, what I'm saying is your shortest player. The statement Becky Hammond made was your shortest player cannot be your best player. And he was the shortest player and the best player. But that team, that 70 something, that was a special team. That was a special team. He's a special, he's a one of a kind. He's something you've never seen before. Um, People says, KP, you don't like the Nets? Yeah. When did I say like? You mean now, Brooklyn now, or back when they was in Jersey? Nets now are horrible. It's not their fault. They're tanking, but um, let's see. So many comments. I'm trying to get to everything. Oh shit! It's 9:30. Towns is not a banger. He has banger moments. That's the thing. He has banger moments. He's not a consistent banger. He bangs sometimes, and in order for them to go far, he's gonna have to bang. Um, it's 9:30. We are in super duper OT right now. For those that's new to the channel, anything after 9:30 is overtime. Um, this is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please hit the like button if you haven't already, so we can get more people in the channel, on the chat. And big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. And we're narrowing it down to Sunday, 1 o'clock. Sunday, 1 o'clock. Not this Sunday, next Sunday, 1 p.m. The book talk. Let's do it. Cat should demand the ball, and Jalen should make a better effort to keep him involved. Well, that's a coach. Should run more plays. You want Jalen Brunson to shoot the ball. He is a fantastic scorer and creator. There's not many people in this league that can create their own shot. You want him to be aggressive. But the coach should also run things for Cat, but Cat be drifting out to the three-point line. I don't know, because people always say demand the ball, but dude's got to throw it in too. Shaq is always like, you're supposed to demand the ball. Because when I was playing, I demanded the ball. Kobe didn't even want to give it to you. You were Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe was you. That's why y'all were fighting. And these people are not Shaq. Everyone is not Shaq, man. I agree that Cat should get the ball more. Maybe he should demand. The coach should demand run plays to get him touches. Cat is too foul prone too. That didn't Dwight Howard try to steal his Superman thing? Well, Shaq was Shaq Diesel, and Dwight came with the Superman, and I guess that's so petty, man. Shaq didn't like David Robinson. Remember, he made up that whole. He said David Robinson didn't sign his autograph when he was a kid. He met David Robinson and asked for an autograph, and David Robinson said no, and he hated him ever since. Then it turns out that that was a lie. He just made that up for motivation. He just hates all big men. And he always calls himself the most dominant. He is not the most dominant. Wilt Chamberlain is the most dominant. Shaq is the most dominant of this era, of the era he was in. Absolutely. There's nothing anyone could do with him. But he is not the most dominant player of all time. Heartthrob Forever, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Much appreciated. We're in OT, y'all. Shout out to Benny Doyle. Shout out to G Doyle. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. I see a lot of Sunday at 1 works. Sunday, 1 o'clock, y'all. Sunday at 1. Let's go. Kenny, you ever had an excruciating toothache? I'm experiencing one now. Yes, my wisdom tooth. Um, Back in 2001, probably the most pain I've ever experienced in my life. And I went to a dentist to have them pull it, and the dentist stabbed me up, ripped me up, and couldn't get it out. After all the pain I went through, they had to send me to a specialist, an oral surgeon, to cut it out with a zzz, one of those saws. It was crazy, and I was so happy. That wisdom tooth pain was the most I ever had. A toothache is crazy. I hope you're able to get that taken care of because it only gets worse. Um, let's see. Gary Gannett says April 18th. Can why the playoffs start? I don't know. But we got it. We picked Sunday. I don't know what date that is. I think it's the 19th. Sunday is the day. Sunday, 1 o'clock. Luca was just named Western Conference Player of the Month. Yes, he was. Yesterday, he was named. He's the Player of the Month of March, and he was the Player of the Month of January, and he probably should have been Player of the Month of October when he came in putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers. That dude has this whole, he has faults in his game, but as an offensive player, he's right at the top of the greatest we've ever seen on offense. The amount of points and assists that guy can generate, unbelievable. Jason Wall says Wemby put back dunk off his own missed three, one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Yeah, that shit like that is why he's uh, a freak. That still doesn't make you MVP, but yeah. But I would like to see, plus there's no other big man. See, didn't Joel Embiid give him 70 a couple of years ago? I know he was young, but Joel Embiid gave him 70. I would like to see, because a lot of times you're only as good as your competition. I would like to see Wemby play against Ewing and David Robinson and that era where the big men was some tough, tough big men. Even a Rick Smits was 7'3". Like I would like to see him in that era. Shaq, Yao, 7'6". And then I would like to see really what it is. Because in this era, there's nobody that can really um, compete with him. KP, were you a boxing fan? Not really. I used to like Mike Tyson. I like boxing here and there, but I never really followed it like that. But I loved Iron Mike from Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Me and Mike Tyson are born on the same day. Ami Hassan says, damn, son, I'm late. Been in the hospital. What's up, everybody? Oh, man. First of all, thank you for checking in, coming straight out the hospital, and I hope you are feeling better. Yeah, you're super late. We're in overtime. Um, but I'm hope you're feeling better. Luka Doncic's injury could mean he's out for the NBA race. It does mean he's out for the NBA race. You have to play 65 games out of 82 to be part of the awards. He was at 64 yesterday with 5 games to go. And that one game, and go back to that suspension he had last week, really looms big now. But I see that the Lakers are going to try to appeal the ruling because you can appeal the 65 game limit for extraordinary circumstances. And they're saying that he missed 2 games because he flew to Slovenia on December 4th for the birth of his daughter. The birth of his daughter on December 4th, he flew to Slovenia and was back on December 6th. He flew all the way back just to be in time to play a game. And so he missed, I think, 1 game or 2 games because he flew to another country and flew back. And they're going to appeal that was an extraordinary circumstance that caused him to miss those games. And if you can give him them games back, he should be eligible, and that's a legitimate argument. I don't know if they're gonna appeal overturn the 65 game rule, but that's a legitimate argument. I flew to another country and back in 2 days and missed the game just to see my daughter be born and still compete and put that in the mix. Maybe they'll override the 65 game um, ruling. Yo, Kenny, do you think that Mike Tyson threw his last fight? Yes. That last exhibition he had, or whatever it was a travesty to boxing. They're just in it to get the money now. Um, and I saw Pacquiao and Floyd is about to fight, and Floyd said it's just an exhibition. It's just an exhibition. And Pacquiao was like, "No, it's not. I wouldn't be in an exhibition. It's real to me." So I want to see how that's going to turn out. I remember watching the Tyson fight, and he came in close and got a couple body shots. And I saw the guy, what was his name? Jake, what was his name? Whisper something in Tyson's ear. And after that, Tyson just went through the motions. And you can see times where he got up on him and like faked, but he never threw the punch. I think he told him, yo, chill out, Mike. It's your exhibition, bro. And Mike was like, oh yeah, and chilled out. Watch that fight again. You saw Tyson early was going in, and he pulled him close and said something. Then after that, Tyson was just out there, just I think these are travesties, man. But get your money though. Imagine Charles Oakley and X-Men putting paws on Wemby. Yeah, see that would be sad to see. Those Kevin Willis type dudes, those bruisers like that, Anthony Mason. He wouldn't even be able to move. And the rules were different back then too. You could hand check and hold people. All that sham guard moves. There'd be none of that. You couldn't even get the guard sham guard off in the NBA back in the day. I don't know. I mean, you probably could, but it'd be very tough. Dudes hand checking and reaching, and Wemby is a freak for this era. I mean, he's a freak for any era, but I just don't think. I think this era, what he does in this era, makes him look ridiculous. Historians said Wilt averaged about 8 blocks a game, but blocks didn't become official to 72, 73. Yes, there are games where they said Wilt had 20 blocks in a game, but they didn't keep block stats till 72, 73. Imagine if they kept, not only does Wilt have like 90 something NBA records or something crazy like that, but if they kept blocks, he would have a blocks records that would be never ever matched ever again. That's why when you talk about most dominant, they said Wilt was bigger and stronger than everybody else. And I'm like, yeah, and he played like he was bigger and stronger. Wilt Chamberlain says, I'm the biggest, strongest person. There's no one that can compete with me physically. So I'm going to average 50 points a game, 25 rebounds, and 20 block shots, 8 block shots. I'm going to score 100. I'm going to do all kind of crazy stuff. And he did. He is the most dominant player. Um, but Steph ain't taller than KP or KRS. He is not. Towns is in that Chris Bosh category. Yes. He's taller though. Chris Bosh is like 6'10". Towns is a 7-footer. But yeah, I could see where you're going, B-ball. We are in overtime. It's 9:43. Last week we went to 2 hours. Last Tuesday we went to 2 hours. I thought it was too long, and I didn't think people was gonna watch. But we got some nice viewership. So I might go to 10 o'clock. I might go to 10 o'clock. B-Ball says, so Sunday, April 12th, 1 p.m.? Yeah, not this Sunday. Next Sunday. Yeah, that's the 12th? Yes. Sunday, April 12th, Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, April 12th, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we will be doing the book only talk. I'm really looking forward to this and to checking out people who have read the book. It's going to be great. It's Sunday, April 12th, 1 o'clock. Let's go, man. Um, I got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you guys about who read the book. If you haven't, the link is in the description below. I'm really happy with the audiobook response and sales. Thank you uh, for those that's got it. But any version of the book you got, thank you. Henry Cedillo says Sunday book talk. Let's go. Let's go. Um, Let me jump all the way to the bottom. I'm at the very bottom, y'all. People says I got a lot of questions. Let's go. Philly said Wilt shied away from exerting his physical dominance the way Shaq did. I don't think Shaq ever shied away from his physicality. They said there's times where Wilt went up to dunk and somebody would go up to block a shot and put their hand by the rim and Wilt wouldn't dunk it because he knew he would break their hand and he would just move the ball and lay it in so he wouldn't hurt people. I've seen people say that. Like he could have been nasty. Shaq was nasty, man. Shaq didn't care about nobody. As he shouldn't have. He was a nasty. That's how you're supposed to compete. Shaq was nasty. And he doesn't understand other players not being as nasty and dirty as he. Not dirty. He wasn't dirty. He was nasty and physical. Um, let's see. Benny Doyle says this is how it starts. OT is to hit 10 p.m. I'm all for it. We'll see. Um, we will see. I'm just because you know what it is? I'm enjoying myself right now, just talking ish with the people. So that's why I'm on here late. Kenny, make it to 1 p.m. Yeah, Sunday 1. Tracy says Sunday, April 12th, 1 p.m. Yeah, let's go. Oh, Philly, she says, I'm saying Shaq did exert his physical dominance. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. The problem with Shaq was he never developed more of his basketball skills. I thought Shaq was more skilled in Orlando than he was even on the Lakers. There's a time where he depended too much on his physical strength. He got a little heavier and got too physical. And then when you can take away the physical, you neutralized him. Shaq, 3 or 4 feet away from the basket, was a whole different ball player. Jay-Z was dissing Cameron on Otis the entire time. I saw that. Cameron brought that up. We don't know if that's true, but that's Cameron's opinion. We said the line about asylum. I saw that. Didn't know that. But they had their back and forth, so I could see it. Off-topic question: are you cool with Jay with the Damager? Absolutely. That's my dog. I think it's really dope that he's living in Europe. Me too. That's my man. Shout out to Rue. Uh, let's see. I'm at the very bottom. I'm at the very bottom. Uh, Shaq's dunk on Chris Dudley was disrespectful. I'm going to say the most disrespectful dunk I've ever seen. Because of what after the fact. You going to dunk on somebody and wrap your legs around them and stuff like that. Like Dudley was right to throw the ball at Shaq. It reaches a point where you got to stand up for yourself. He dunked on Dudley and like wrapped his legs around him and stuff. Don't. That was the most disrespectful thing I ever saw. I thought when uh what's my man from the Bulls? Scotty dunked on Patrick Ewing and stood over him, had his nuts over his face, and Patrick Ewing got mad and pushed him. I thought that was disrespectful too. That was just Patrick should have stole on him. Yeah, I thought Scotty was being disrespectful, but Shaq took it to a whole nother level of disrespect. Uroy says, I'm gonna have to try and read the book again before Sunday. That would be dope. Sunday, 1 p.m. Kennard Roberts says, KB, do you think music fading away because it doesn't have a platform right now? B.R. Valentine's going to disagree because he thinks that music is not fading away, but I think it is. I think it's fading away because it's too spread out. There's too many different avenues for people to get music, and you got to search for the music. And so it's all over the place. Back in my day, you heard music on the radio. And so just about everybody was listening to whatever their favorite music genre station was. So everybody heard the same songs, and there was a standard that you had to reach to get your song on the radio or pay, but to get your song on the radio. But I think because it was centralized, the video, MTV, BET, radio, the songs are there. Now people don't really listen to the radio like that. You have 4 or 5 streaming services that you have to pay for. YouTube, people getting music on TikTok. There's records that's hits on TikTok only. It's all over the place. And the quality is not good. There's not a lot of good music. Some people's like, whenever I say the genres are dying, people always go, that's not true. There's good music out there. You just have to look for it, which is my whole argument. Why do I have to search my whole day to find a good song? I grew up on cut the radio on, and Whitney, Anita Baker, Luther, Prince, Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross, all of it was on the radio at one time. I didn't have to search. Sade, you turn down the dial, the pop station, you get the Police, you get Blondie, you get Phil Collins, you get Boy George. You didn't have to search. It just was on, and it was wonderful. Now I have to spend my whole day digging through thousands of records that I don't like to hear one I like. Mm-mm. Not to me, but some people like the art of the digging. Def Rocker says Shaq wrapped his legs around Dudley. Pause. Yeah, super pause. Dudley threw the ball at him, and normally that would have been a fight. I don't know why that wasn't an all-out brawl, but I respect Dudley for throwing the ball at him, man. I watched that in real time too. Chambers equals disrespectful. When he dunked on Mark Jackson, he just rose on Mark Jackson. He just kept going higher and higher. That was a great dunk. The problem is that nobody pays for music anymore. Well, you have to have these subscriptions. And if you don't pay with money, you pay with your time, the commercials and stuff. Well, it was the same with radio commercials, but Spotify and these things, YouTube, you're paying with your visual time, your attention. That is the most profitable thing. And these commercials was keep the whole machine going. Even commercials on this channel keeps it going. Um, but it's set up for you to have to pay. No one owns music anymore is the problem. Commercial music may be dying, but music as a form won't, because as long as someone's humming a tune, it remains a form of communication, not the product we view it as. Yeah, I agree with that. Commercial music for the masses, how we used to hear music is dying. But of course, yeah, I mean, humming a tune goes back to caveman days. Um, Music will never die. It's just great tunes for the masses is dying. We're in overtime. I might go another 5 minutes. Don't forget the jukebox videos. Of course not. I used to pay much money to request videos on the jukes. When is Heather B coming back? You two are hilarious. Great question. I don't know. Hopefully soon. Renting music is kind of lame to me. Yeah, it is, but that's where we're at now. Everything is streaming. You rent music, you rent TV shows, you rent movies, and the minute your subscription ends, they cut you off. Everything is a subscription. This StreamYard program that I'm using for you guys is a subscription. The minute I stop paying, I will lose a bunch of features, but it's all good. That's just where we're at now. Kevin Johnson dunk on Hakeem was amazing. Yes, I was watching that in real time. Um, One of the most underrated dunks ever. On considering how he did it and who it was on, that's one of the greatest dunks ever. Kanye West's new album Bully smashed a Spotify record. Wow, so I guess there's a lot of people still interested in Kanye. I was saying last Tuesday it's going to be very hard for him to come back, but he got some sold out shows, and I guess a lot of people have forgiven him. Well, you look at the people who he dissed. Outside of that, those demographics, there's a large percentage of people that rock with Kanye still. Um, More power to him. For me, he has said some unforgivable things. I agree with you with music. I think the streaming services jacked how we used to listen to music. Yeah, and Netflix jacked how we used to watch television shows and movies. It's just a different time, man. Just a different time. KP, I always wondered why 45s had a bigger hole. Do you think it's to fit the jukebox? Yeah, I think that was the original purpose, was to fit the jukebox. I don't know how, um, whatever the jukebox technology was, but I think that was the purpose. Because even when you had a record player, you had to get a 45 adapter to put on the record player so you could play your 45. Still to this day. Uh, all right, we are in overtime. We're almost done. Bernie Doyle said, did he say ICU in 2 weeks? That's going to be a great invite. You know, I asked ICU to come on the channel a while back. Hasn't happened yet, but we'll see. Um, DJ Big Scully Gaming and Music. I have hard drives of all kind of music and music videos, so I won't ever have the need to use streaming sites as a DJ. I agree with that. I have all the old stuff that I need on hard drives. It's just the new music. Uh, the new music, they make it very difficult to own it. Sharon Shabazz says, same here. He disrespected the ancestors. Yes, he did. And multiple times. And for me, that's unforgivable. As unforgivable for me. You great artist. I wish you well. I hope you make your money and, you know, sell out your concerts and do all that. But for me, it's always going to be a side eye. I have to look at you side eye. All right, we're about to wind this down. We're at 2 hours, y'all. I hope I don't scare the rewind crew. So yes, we will be back, God willing, on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think I'm gonna have a new announcement for y'all on Tuesday too, if it works out. Uh, okay, let me scroll to the bottom. I'll just get last little comments. All right, peace, y'all. Peace, 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 peace. Let me see if I got everything. All right, yes, I did. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Let me make this smaller. I am out of here. I will catch you guys on Tuesday, 8 o'clock. All right, peace.